Hello friends, welcome to Scholarate. So in this video we will discuss a new topic on light, that is refraction of light. So what is a refraction? Just like reflection, refraction is also a phenomena of light. So let's see what it is. Refraction is basically the bending of light ray when it passes from one medium to another. So basically what causes this deviation or this bending of light ray? So you can see over this diagram there are two different mediums. The first condition for refraction is the mediums must be different, not only different but they must be of different densities. That is, one must be some rarer medium and another must be a denser medium. That is, there must be some difference in their densities. So you can see over here I have chosen this medium, that is the light is passing from air to water. So you can see over here that air is a lighter medium or rarer medium and water is a denser medium compared to air. So when the light ray is moving from air to water, just at the point of separation, that is at this point, it is bending its path, and you can see over here that its angle of incidence, that is theta 1, and its angle of refraction theta 2. Here theta 1 is angle of incidence just like the reflection, but theta 2 is the angle of refraction. Both the angles are different, unlike reflection. Previously in reflection, what we have observed that angle of incidence and angle of reflection are same, but in case of refraction the angles are not at all same. The angle of refraction is slightly lesser than angle of incidence. So that is the first point of difference between reflection and refraction. Just like reflection, there is laws of refraction. So what is? Let's see. The incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal to the interface of two media at a point of incidence all lie in the same plane. So you can see over this diagram, the red color line is basically the incident ray and the blue color line here is the refracted ray, and the dotted line just in the middle perpendicularly is the normal. So you can see the first law says that the incident ray, that is the red line, the refracted ray, the blue line, and normal, that is the dotted line, all lie in the same point at the interface of two media. The two media are air and water, and this line is basically the interface. So all the three rays, incident ray, refracted ray and normal, lie at the same point of incidence on the same plane. The second law is little bit complicated, but I will try my best to make it clear. The ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is constant. So here we have to apply some trigonometry. So what is it saying? That the ratio of sine of angle of incidence, that is the sine of angle of incidence. Let us assume that I is the angle of incidence and R is the angle of refraction. So what it is saying? The ratio of sine I, that is sine of angle of incidence, and the sine of angle of refraction, that is sine R, will be constant for a given pair of light and for a given pair of media and for a given color of light. So basically it may be a red light or blue light, so it depends actually, but in all the cases the ratio will be constant. So the second law is also known as Snell's law of refraction. So basically the second law is very important for your exam purpose, and the second law is also known as the Snell's law. Now next move on to the next topic. What happens when light is moving through a rectangular glass slab? So what is a rectangular glass slab? It is a 3D structure, but you can see over here in the diagram it's a 2D one. So it's basically a rectangle, simple rectangle made of glass. Okay, So what happens when light is moving? The medium outside the glass slab is basically air. So we can conclude that the medium outside the glass slab is rarer compared to the medium which is inside, that is the glass one. So what happens? The light is coming from air and it is going inside the glass slab. So we all know that I the angle of incidence and R the angle of refraction. So what happens is the light changes its path or bends its path. So light is coming from here and it's slightly bended over here. So in the first case you can see that when the light is coming from rarer medium and is entering inside a denser medium, the refracted ray is basically bending towards the normal. So that dotted line, this one, it is the normal, and the refracted ray is bending towards the normal, okay, very close to normal. In the second case, what happens? The light that went inside the glass slab will escape out at this point. So at this point what happens is that light is coming from a denser medium now. Light was inside a denser medium, the glass slab, and it will escape out into a rarer medium, that is the air. So when you can see over here that light is coming from a denser medium and it is entering into a rarer medium, what happens? The refracted ray will move away from the normal. You can see that normal is this dotted line once again, but the refracted ray will move away from the normal, unlike the first case that moved towards the normal. So basically in case 1, when light is coming from rarer to denser medium, the refracted ray will move towards the normal. But in the second case, when light is moving from denser to rarer medium, it is going away from the normal, and this ray is known as emergent ray. This ray is called incidence ray, this one is the refracted ray, and this one is the emergent ray that emerges outside the glass slab. Now next move on to the next topic. What is refractive index? Okay, in the Snell's law we have already discussed that during refraction the sine of angle of incidence and the sine of angle of refraction will bear a constant ratio, but that constant ratio has a specific name, and that is the refractive index. So you can see over here by the definition, refractive index of a second medium with respect to first medium is defined as the ratio of the sine of angle of incidence in the first medium to the sine of angle of refraction in the second medium. So the definition of refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium, basically refractive index is defined in terms of some medium, okay. So it's basically represented by this symbol, that is mu. It's mu 1 to 2. This convention refers that the light is moving from medium 1 and is going inside medium 2. Okay, since mu is the ratio of what? Sine of angle of incidence and sine of angle of refraction, so it is a unitless quantity, okay, so it has no unit. Okay, now we can also define refractive index in terms of speed of light, okay. So when it is given that mu 1 to 2, that is light is moving from medium 1 to medium 2, it may be defined as the speed of light in medium 1, that is v1, to the ratio of speed of light in medium 2, that is v2. Okay, in some books you may see that refractive index is denoted by either mu or n, so basically both are same, nothing to worry about this. So this is the refractive index with respect to two mediums. But what happens if light is coming from air and is entering inside a medium? Then it is called only mu. The ratio is equal to speed of light in vacuum or air, because light is coming from air, and divided by speed of light in that medium, the medium in which the light ray is entering. Okay, you can see over here it is universal that we should always denote the velocity of light in air by the symbol c. C denotes the velocity of light in air, and v is the velocity of light in that particular medium where the light is entering. We can also write mu1 to 2 as mu2 by mu1, that is the refractive index of the second medium and the refractive index of the first medium. So this is all the discussion regarding the refractive index. Now next move on to the next topic. Okay, image formation by lens. So basically there are two types of lens. Like the spherical mirrors, there are concave lens, concave mirror and convex mirror. There is also two types of mirrors, that is convex lens and concave lens. So what is convex lens? So there are some conditions that in what position the object should be and what will be the position of image with respect to object, but I will first go to the diagram, okay, so that you can understand this chart. But you have to also memorize this chart for your MCQs purposes, because it's not always possible to draw diagrams for each and every case. So I'll first explain the diagram and then I will come to this chart. So in the first case, you can see over here the object is nowhere, that is the object is basically situated at infinity. So this is the shape of a convex lens. You can see over here convex lens, the shape of convex lens. So basically there is no object, that is the light is situated, the object is situated in infinity. So let us discuss first the different parts of a convex lens. A convex lens has a center point, that is O. O is basically the optical center. Two focus, that is f1 and f2, and twice the length of focal length, that is 2f1 and 2f2 and so on. So when light is coming from infinity, that is the object is situated at infinity, it will focus or it will merge or converge in the focal point, that is in focus f2. So you can see when object is at infinity, the position of image will be at f2 and it will be highly diminished object, and it's a real and inverted. Why it is diminished? You can see over here there is no such image formed, because the image is just a shape of a point, it's a point size image, so it is highly diminished. In the second case, when object is situated beyond 2f1, what happens? It will merge and it will form an image in between f2 and 2f2. You can see over here, and in this case the object is slightly diminished. Okay, you can see over here the position will be between f2 and 2f2 and it will be slightly diminished, not highly diminished like the previous case, but it will be slightly diminished. When the object is at 2f1, what will happen? It will directly form at 2f2 and its size will be same, the object size, the size of the image will be same as that of the object size. Yes, you can see over here the position of object is 2f1 and the image will form at 2f2 and the size of the object and size of the image are same. And in convex lens, in every case, only in one case, the exceptional one, in nearly each and every case you can see the image formation is always real and inverted. Now next move on to the next diagram. When the object is between 2f1 and f1, the image will form beyond 2f2 and it will be magnified. You can see that the object size and image size, if you compare them, you can see the image is slightly greater than the object size, so it is magnified basically. Here it is also written that it is formed beyond 2f2 the position of image and it will be magnified one. What will happen if the object is at f1, that is the focus? It will form at infinity. You can see over here there is no practical image formation, so it will focus at infinity and it will be highly magnified. The position of image, you can see it's infinity and the size of the image is highly magnified. And the last case, when the object is situated between F1 and O, that is between F1 and the optical center, what will happen? In this case only we will get a virtual image and a magnified image also, virtual as well as a magnified image. You can see over here that the light ray is converging here. So what we'll do, we will just produce this incident ray and refracted ray backward position. So you can see over here an image is formed with a dotted line. In physics we generally represent the imaginary ray or the imaginary object or image by means of dotted line, because here no such image is formed. So basically it's a virtual image forming here. So since the rays are imaginary rays and the object is a virtual object, so we are denoting this by using some dotted line. Next, move on to the next topic. Next topic is image formation by concave lens. So I have discussed previously that there are two types of lenses, convex lens as well as concave lens. So concave lens, we are only given two conditions. When the object is at infinity, the shape of the convex lens is just concave lens is just like this one, and here it is also having f1 and 2f1 and one center point O, which is called the optical center. Now what will happen? So in the first condition, object is at infinity, that is no practical object is located near the lens. So if object is situated at infinity, what will happen? The light ray will come over here and will meet and then diverge into various directions. So what we will do, we will just backward produce this divergent rays, this ray and this ray, these are the divergent ray. We will simply backward produce this, and you can see over here a point size image is formed at f1. So this is also a highly diminished object, image, highly diminished image. And you can see over here when we are placing the object at infinity, the image is formed at f1 and it is highly diminished. And in each and every case for the concave lens, the image will be virtual and upright. Okay, so it will be always virtual and upright. Upright means it's a erect image, a straight one, unlike inverted one. The next condition is when it is placed any position between infinity and optical center. So we are not taking any particular position, we are only taking it as between infinity and the optical center. So it may be any position. So in any of the position, if we place an object, you can see over here the light is coming and meeting at this point, then it is again diverging into various directions. Now what will happen if we produce a light ray from here, and if we backward produce the divergent ray by the dotted line, you can see a image is formed, a dash b dash, an image is formed over here, and it is diminished image obviously, and it's also virtual as well as uprighted image, that is erect one. You can see one thing, that the light ray coming from A, that is the object, and passing to the optical center, it is not at all bended or diverted. That's because that's the definition of optical center. Optical center is basically such a point in lens, it may be concave lens or convex lens, where light ray will pass undeviated, that is no such deviation will take place when light ray is passing from optical center. So we are ending our session over here, and thank you so much. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel. We will bring more topics on physics as well as on other subjects. Thank you.